morning, our internet friends and family, and welcome to our Georgia suburban homestead. Please hit the subscribe and the little bell and whatever so that you might get some more of these in the future, assuming you like what we have to say. It's the holiday season, and tonight Lisa and I are going to a Christmas party, the office party, Christmas party, which is going to be at the home of my boss and his wife. I've decided to create a little thank you gift for inviting us over. You know, it's kind of a tradition in the South to give a gift when someone invites you to their house for a party. And I've decided I'm going to give the hostess creamed honey. Now, what is creamed honey? Well, if you have honey that's been sitting around for a while, it becomes crystallized honey, which is, well, a little opaque because of the crystals of sugar that form. Honey is a super saturated solution of sugars with 19% water, and after a while crystals were formed. But they tend to become pretty big, and since they're big, they don't really reflect the light the same way as creamed honey. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this here. You see it's much more opaque, has a slightly different color than the crystallized honey. It also has a very different mouthfeel. Crystallized honey, the crystals are relatively large, and you can actually feel the crystals in your mouth, and it's kind of gritty, which some people don't like. So traditionally, people have ground it down so that the crystals are much more small. It forms more of a sol than a solution, and it has much more tyndall scattering. Tyndall scattering is the traditional name for having lots of little bitty particles in a solution that reflect light, and it's what makes milk white. The little bitty droplets of oil reflect the light, and they make it look white. So when you take crystallized honey, which you see is kind of a dark color, and grind those crystals down real small, it starts reflecting a lot more light and looks like cream, so it's called creamed honey. And because the crystals are much smaller, it has a better mouthfeel, and it tends to flow slower because of the attraction of the water to the various crystals. This makes it easier to put on toast and so on.
Water or light?
Water. The water particles will hold the crystals together, you know, the attraction of water to other substances. Now this is a little flowable, partly because to grind it I warm the honey up just a little bit. Not too much. If you warm your honey up too much, you tend to decrystallize it and it goes back to more like regular honey. This is a set that I accidentally put in the microwave for a little too long, and you can see it's more transparent, fewer crystals in there that reflect the light. Okay, so to make your creamed honey, first you need to start off with crystallized honey. This is the traditional method, not the method created in the 1930s for commercial production. So you can try that. It's a lot slower. You will need, this is called the mortar or the pestle?
That's the pestle.
This is the pestle because it looks kind of like the part of the flour, or is it that the flour part looks kind of like this?
It's a pestle because it looks like your equipment.
You will need a bowl to grind it in. Now, we have a mortar that is made from the same stone.
Granite.
Granite, but granite is a bit porous And that makes it greater for grinding stuff, but much more difficult for getting it back out. And this is honey, and you know, when you do bees, everything's going to get sticky. So I'm using a ceramic bowl, a spoon, a couple of bowls to put the other honey in, and something to clean the stuff out. Now, as I said, the first rule of beekeeping is everything's going to get sticky. So, yeah, you probably want a sink for washing your hands every so often. So, I'm going to take about 3 very large tablespoons of the crystallized honey.
Move the jar because
And you see it's kind of sticky, pretty stiff. And hard to get out. Well, like I said.
there it goes.
Yeah.
Hear all that effort, folks? Huffing and puffing.
Yeah. Like I said, this stuff is pretty. Let me know. A little bit cool today.
I'm gonna move closer.
And, well, hold on a second. Because my next step is I'm going to put this in the microwave for about 8 seconds. You don't want to get it too hot. You get it too hot and it will decrystallize and turn back to regular honey. What you want is
8 seconds?
Yeah, 8 seconds. And it will vary with the microwave and how much honey you put in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Open the door. Yeah, that's about right. And you can see it is kind of.
Okay.
You can see it is kind of flattened out. In other words, it has relatively low sump. So can you see it there? Excuse me, folks. Alright, you can see that it is low sump. It's flattening out, though it's still not really flowing. Okay? And it's still dark. So then you take your pestle and you start grinding it.
Are you pushing down?
Yes, you hear that sound? Well, that's grinding those crystals down. We could actually put this in for a few more seconds, because that is pretty hard. However, you notice that it's changed color where I've been grinding it. See, now it's changed a little color. You've got right here it's whiter, but over toward the edge where I didn't grind it, it's still dark. What you're working toward is grinding those crystals down till the mouthfeel is better.
When you say mouthfeel, are you really saying how it feels in your mouth?
Yes.
Okay.
You don't feel the crystals. It's not gritty. It'll be smooth. It will.
Why, you have to change your hand. You must really be putting pressure on that.
Well, it's very stiff. You know, that's why you have to heat it up a little bit. And it will take 4 or 5 minutes of grinding. You want to get as many of those big crystals ground down as you can. But you see, it's now a much whiter color.
How long will it stay suspended like this before it crystallizes back up?
Well, that's the thing. It's already crystallized as far as it will go. You're just making those crystals a little bitty. Now that's part of the commercial process. In the commercial process, they take already ground up crystals, little bitty crystals, and they mix about 10% of little bitty crystals in with uncrystallized honey. And since they start with millions of little bitty crystals, and they mix it in with the honey, those form bigger crystals around them, but there's so many of them, they never get big. And it stays creamy. That's the commercial method. You put about 10% of already ground up sugar crystals into the honey, mix it in real good, let it sit about 2 weeks, and those little bitty crystals will cause it bigger crystals to
So
form.
this is going to have to sit for 2 weeks before they use it?
No, this is the traditional method. And the traditional method, you grind it yourself into small things.
Okay.
In the commercial method, they take the already ground up little bitty crystals of sugar, put it into the honey, and let it those little crystals force
your hand.
let those little crystals force the crystallization of the honey. But as I say, they put so many in, and they're so small to begin with, the crystals can't grow really big, and it stays they stay small enough for it to be considered creamed honey. It's evidently much easier to get it to cream up like that than it is to actually grind it back down.
But you need exercise anyway, right?
Yeah. Now,
So I notice you're spinning the bowl just a little bit, turning the bowl instead of, yeah.
yeah, because I'm trying to make sure that I get
All
all the crystals, all the big crystals ground up to make sure it has the right mouthful. Okay.
Ready to transfer it to a jar?
Yeah. Now, traditionally, to make it even more enjoyable, people will mix in ground up chocolate or ground up cinnamon. And I was going to make,
Oh, why don't we do some cinnamon for them?
okay, I was going to make chocolate lavender creamed honey, but
So we have some really good, strong, flavored cinnamon that I found. It's ground Saigon cinnamon, and you only use maybe a third of what you would normally use. So Charlie's going to show us how much cinnamon to use per, how much you say you have there, Charlie?
well,
You want to mix it in the jar, or do you want to mix it in a bowl?
we're mixing in the bowl. I've got more here than will fit in the jar, I think. Where's the jar?
Move the bowl, or that's your jar. That's your cinnamon. Are you done with this?
No, we're going to take some of that,
Oh.
put it here with the cinnamon, and use that for mixing.
All right. So let's watch him do that.
I'm going to wash my hands, as you can see. They're kind of coated in honey. So, if we're going to make cinnamon honey toast with the cream honey, we're going to take
Show us.
We're going to take about a heaping teaspoon of cinnamon.
Ooh, that's a lot of that cinnamon, hon.
Yeah, I know. And yeah, I do need another spoon. Contaminate my creamed honey with cinnamon. And then
That's pretty.
this phenomena is known as Tyndall scattering.
Tyndall?
Tyndall, yes.
T-E-N?
His name is Tyndall, but it's pronounced Tyndall.
Tyndall. Okay.
He was an 18th century scientist, one of the greatest scientists that people tend not to know anything about. So much of modern technology is actually based off of stuff he came up with.
What was his full name? Was it William Tyndall?
John Tyndall.
John Tyndall. T-Y-N-D-E-L-L?
D-A-L-L.
D-A-L-L. And of course, Charlie would know that because he's Mr. Thinky. They also used to call him at work the professor. So
he is the person who...
Show us what you're doing, babe.
I'm just stirring it in. He is the person who developed or proved global warming. He is the person who proved the germ theory. Louis Pasteur came up with the germ theory, but he actually proved it. And he was a person who came up with one of the first methods of sterilizing stuff.
When was this?
Mid to late 1800s.
So he warned us about these global catastrophes in the mid 1800s.
Yeah, there was a lady in the United States who kind of came up with the idea of global warming, but her discussion of it was qualitative, and his was quantitative. He actually measured the absorption of infrared light by various gases, carbon dioxide, oxygen, water vapor, nitrogen, hydrogen, etc. So he quantified global warming, where the lady before him,
It'd be nice to know the lady's name to give her the credit. In 1856, Eunice Newton Foote was able to conclude that increasing carbon dioxide levels in the Earth's atmosphere would cause global warming. She did not mean for it to be a warning, but perhaps in the midst of America's Industrial Revolution, it really should have been.
Sorry, Eleanor something. I can't remember it.
Okay, you're gonna have to move so we can see what you're doing. Nope, other way.
Other way? This way? This seems like it would be less visible.
I hate to say it, that doesn't look very appetizing.
You put it on some toast. I might stir in a little more to bring the bottle up. Or should I just...
I'd top it off. Bet our viewers are all saying, top it off!
Top it off! Won't be a great gift unless you top it off.
Yeah, I think you're skimping.
I ought to try doing this.
Sassy says top it off.
I ought to try this. It'll give them a workout.
So we'll call this cooking with Charlie or working out with Charlie?
I don't know. I was hoping for marbling, but that's not really marbled, is it?
No, I think you put too much cinnamon in it, but we won't criticize that.
Well, we'll put some on some toast and try it out. Well, as I said, this is called Tyndall scattering because it was a problem with a lot of his experiments. And there are two other versions of scattering: Rayleigh scattering, which you experience as a blue sky and orange-yellow sun, because if a particle size is less than 1/10 the size of the wavelength of light, it scatters the light. Blue gets scattered more, so the sky tends to be blue, and since there's less blue and the sunlight coming straight through, the sun is a lot more orange-yellow than normal. And at sundown, those effects really happen, much stronger, and the sky is a deeper blue and the sun is a much more red. Now, if the particle size is above 10% of the light wavelength, you get what's called Mie scattering.
Spell that?
M-I-E. Which is actually very important. Is a very important phenomenon.
Why?
Because Rayleigh scattering tends to occur at all Rayleigh scattering is frequency dependent, so the sky is blue and the sun is orange-yellow. Mie scattering is when the particle is above 10% of the light size and there's no color thing. Clouds tend to have the right particle size for Mie scattering. And unlike Rayleigh scattering, Mie scattering produces a lot of backscatter and not much transmission. So your clouds are very white on the sun's side, and that helps with global warming in that the clouds reflect heat back out into the sky. And the Tyndall scattering, if you see a light beam coming down through the sky, that is traditionally called Tyndall scattering, because the particles of bacteria and fungospores scatter the light and you see the light beam. So, let's go back to this.
Look what I have.
Toast!
Toast here.
And
That's probably enough.
You notice it doesn't flow as much as honey does, because what little water is in there, likes to stick with the particles. Okay, I'm going to wash this off, and that's going to be our host's present for tonight. Homemade creamed honey from my bees with some cinnamon in it, so they can make cinnamon toast. Or put it on pie. Alright, so that's it. Welcome to our Georgia suburban homestead. Y'all come back and watch more videos and even subscribe. But watch lots of videos. Take your time. Watch them more than once even. And make some of this stuff. Lisa's going to taste the toast. Is it good? Let me try a taste.
Here. Look into the camera and tell them how good it is. What do you think of that cinnamon?
That's good. I don't think it's too much cinnamon. I think that was a good right amount.
That's nice, hot, spicy cinnamon, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Definitely comes through the sweetness of the sugar.
Of the sugar?
Yeah, well.
Of the honey?
Of the honey. Honey's got sugar in it. Sometimes sugar will mute taste on the other, the rest of your tongue, but it doesn't mute this too much.
Mmm.
Alright. As I said, we'll see you later. Y'all press the subscribe button and the little black bell and all that stuff, and watch more videos even.
Don't forget a thumbs up, guys.
Oh, and thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up. We kind of like having thumbs up. Tells us you like our videos, which ones you like more, so on. So, bye.